Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and we're back with another Celebrity D&D. I don't know if this was actually a Celebrity D&D, but it's a Stephen Colbert with Matt Mercer, Dungeons & Dragons one-shot, one-on-one, playing against each other, maybe? I don't think that's the case. I don't know how they do that. I don't know, though, if that's a thing that could be done. It was for Red Nose Day in 2019, obviously, hence the image here. So I figured I'd use that image. I always try to use the image that the video I'm watching used. I figured they used the image for a reason, so it's, you know, there's Critical Role, there's Red Nose Day. What is Tiltify? I don't know what Tiltify is. I don't think I've ever heard of that, but I'm assuming they were a sponsor. Steven's Adventure. I don't know what that was. What do you do, like a cross-country thing for Red Nose Day, and he did a bunch of things? I am not quite sure. Or is it Steven's Adventure because he's going on an adventure through the realm of Exandria? I'm assuming that's what it is at this point. But I enjoy Stephen Colbert. I've been watching Stephen Colbert since nobody knew who Stephen Colbert was. Since The Daily Show. I remember watching Jon Stewart, The Daily Show, when he first came around, and he had everybody who's not even around anymore on his show. Like the Whammy guy, I forget his name, but the guy from Anchorman that does Whammy, he was an anchor. We had Stephen Colbert as an anchor. There were so many anchors. I can't remember all of them right now, and if you show me them, I can't remember half their names. But Stephen Colbert was one of these guys who was kind of like just there. He was hilariously funny, and now years and years and years later, he has his own show. He's super famous. People probably know Stephen Colbert more than they know Jon Stewart nowadays, which is horribly sad because Jon Stewart is amazing. But Jon Stewart made hundreds of millions of dollars and then retired, and he comes out of the shadows when he sees fit. He came out and did something with COVID on Stephen Colbert's show about a year ago, give or take. It had to be within the last 2 years because COVID hasn't even been around that long. But I remember he went on Stephen Colbert's show and he made some waves because he was a little controversial. But regardless, we're jumping into this. We saw how it was with Vin Diesel. I don't know how this is going to be. How do you do a one-on-one? Are you battling each other? I said this in the last one. I probably keep repeating myself, but I'm wondering if there's a way you could have Dungeon Masters battle against each other, because in my mind, the Dungeon Master controls the rules. So who would mediate? Could you have a referee and have Dungeon Masters go against each other? I also said in the other videos, Stephen Colbert, I hear, is a good Dungeons & Dragons player. What dictates a good Dungeons & Dragons player? I started thinking about this, and people did give me tons of information on where to go. The helpful handbook or something like that on Critical Role's channel that Matt Mercer does that gives you all the explanations. I'm going to watch all that stuff. I don't know if I should react to that stuff because that's kind of just teaching the game. And I don't know if it'd be very entertaining for you guys to watch. I mean, anything Matt Mercer does is probably entertaining, but I'll probably check that out on my own. I feel like your imagination is what guides it, but the cause and effect relies on the roll of the dice. So I feel like your imagination is endless, but you do have to really rely on the dice. Like some bad shit could happen. I was reading in the comments too, people were telling me what critical meant, what the dice rolls meant, and how it all works and everything. So I kind of already have a decent understanding of it. People were saying if you roll a hard 20, it's a critical. I keep saying dice, but I think it's die. I think die. On a 20-sided die, it doubles or something like that, but on the other end of the spectrum, if you get a 1, you get horrible consequences. I'm going to see how they do it because I honestly don't know. I mean, I guess you could do a Dungeons & Dragons with one person, and it's for the entertainment of us. I feel like the point of doing Dungeons & Dragons is to entertain yourself, to have fun. So if you're having fun with someone else and it's entertaining others, I feel like it could be like that. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm very curious. We're jumping in. You guys want to see more of what I do? Full-on edited reactions, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, and hundreds of exclusives only on Patreon. Check the link at the end. If not, this is Stephen Colbert's D&D adventure with Matt Mercer.
For as long as I can recall, I've quested for a hero of a different kind. I have traveled far and wide, weaving tales with friends so that I can bring. It
says it was on Critical Role's channel, so I'm wondering where it takes place.
Goldfish and knolls. Only one
I got tons of drinks, guys. It's an hour long.
Everything has
oh, he's New York City. Oh, he's going to the Colbert show. I love it.
From the humble beginnings at our mimosa-stained dinner table, now brings me to donning a crappy Halloween store cloak and venturing to the threshold of the Ed Sullivan Theater.
The Ed Sullivan Theater.
Here, the hero I have searched for now awaits.
I just spilled soda everywhere because I'm an idiot, and I had to do that to be silly.
Our hero, Stephen Colbert. Our enemy, child poverty. Our adventure, the search for the...
I wonder if this was... I mean, he had to have talked about it on the show. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I love how they have a 50% off sign sitting there. I feel like that was intentional.
This is magic right here. Oh, yeah. The magic for me, like the fun for me, is re-entering into this. Yeah, man.
I feel like his audio is bad.
18 years, completely obsessed with it, and then I haven't rolled the dice since I was a senior in college.
I hope is something wrong with his audio.
Yeah, or maybe the first year out of college.
Gotcha.
Because I lived with a couple of people who played.
Right, right.
We played a couple of times. But
I think he's fixing his audio or something.
I lost a step.
That's okay.
You know, because... All right, I'll stop.
It's all good. No worries. No,
is this okay? Is this guy okay here?
Yeah, something just happened. Like his audio was weird.
I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Isn't that from Lord of the Rings, the
for pitches sometimes.
cave troll?
The riders would come with a pitch. I'd go... Oof. I'd go, I love it.
The cave troll. I love me some Lord of the Rings. Cave troll.
Yeah, exactly.
It's from the first one.
Yeah, quick overview. Bard, they're essentially a charismatic spellcaster.
Right. Is one of those things where you have to actually go through another whole character class first? The way like monk is, like monk you had to go through like cleric and then be a monk, or
there used to be rules, where you had to kind of multi-class.
Bard, you had to like be like.
Who determines the dungeon master?
Bard or something like that.
It used to split strangely. They've definitely in the newer editions made it a lot easier to jump into things you wanted to.
Back in my day, you had to earn it. I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
So I guess in the game you had to build your character, kind of like.
When the Dungeon Master Guide was released.
Dude,
I have a copy signed by Mr. Gary Gygax.
I'm so jealous of that, by the way.
Gary Gygax, what a name.
My friend Haskell Fudenberg.
That sounds like something from science fiction, Gygax.
I've got the guide signed by Gary. If you want to, just let me know where you are.
Or just make sure he doesn't see this video.
Okay, good, yeah.
So keep it.
Find this guy. Find this man. You find this man.
You know, the 0 to 18.
Sure. Now, did you generate this for me randomly?
Yeah, generated that for you. Yeah, these are actually stats that you can.
What movie is that from?
Okay,
you guys probably think I'm crazy after you. That was a quote from a movie. You find this man.
These modifiers.
You tell me in the comments, damn it. Cheers. First shot.
A charisma check, you would roll your d20 and then add that number in the circle. That would be your final number.
Sure. I hear and I obey.
There you go. You have your skills here, a similar thing. If you have to make a skill check, you look at the number for the corresponding skill.
Well, this is way more detailed than the old days.
Yeah, he's kind of expanded it a bit.
Yeah.
So if I'm like...
So this is what I was learning earlier.
Stealth check. You roll that and add your stealth modifier, which is a +2.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Then you have your armor class, you have your hit points,
you have your
initiative.
Ale.
Those are all similar to the old set.
Yep, I got that. When did you start playing?
I started playing, I was 14. This has been 96 for me.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, I'm older than Matt Mercer. Wow. Jesus.
Not quite as long.
That means he's born 82. I'm born 81. I'm older than Matt Mercer. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I said I feel like these people are older than me.
Like you couldn't get D&D when I first started playing because I was playing.
I said in other videos, I feel like they're around my age.
Yeah. Which is basically.
I'm the old man.
Yeah. But you know, the crew doesn't know. I mean, the colonists don't know that the crew are dead and that you're on a ship and you're fighting mutants everywhere. You're
That's
fighting
so cool. That's where you started.
So we played Metamorphosis Alpha first. Then we heard about this other thing called D&D. And so we played that.
Metamorphosis Alpha. That one I don't think I've ever heard of.
That was the place that sold everything.
I had a lot of people that had like Warhammer, tabletop type stuff like that.
Started playing D&D.
My brother and all them were into D&D. I never got into any of it. I just watched people do things like this. I played video games.
The basic was about this.
Role-playing games. Video games.
And rising up as the treasure city. The what's it called? The group that go together on
the adventuring party.
The party. Yeah. When the party come in, and then after that came the
when
little
the party
ones, like Men in Magic,
Gods,
Demigods, and Heroes.
Oh yeah.
And there was a third.
That
I can't remember it.
I recall.
That was right before they got sued by the Tolkien estate for using hobbits and ents.
Oh, that's right. That's
Changed
right.
it to
Right. And then it
halfling.
became halflings, exactly.
Treants.
But they kept orc.
They did.
Yes.
Because technically there are other instances of orc in literature.
Sure.
Just not in that instance.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Orkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that was an interesting.
This
time.
is like the ultimate like nerd conversation. I love it. I love this kind of shit. Me, my cousin, my brother, we would do this with our friends for hours back in the day. I haven't done this in like 10 years probably though. Nerding out.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank the internet for that one.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
wait, the net voted me a bard?
Yeah, they voted you a bard.
Thank you.
They also voted you have a companion for this adventure.
Okay.
There could have been a various number of companions. They chose for you to have a bee.
Oh,
You
I
have
don't want a bee. All right, I'll take it, I guess.
Stats for your bee. It has one
I
hit point,
hate
but a higher
bugs. If
class.
you guys don't know me, I hate
Things
bugs.
first and damage.
So now you just made
And is
a
this like
bee
one of
has
the old
side.
familiars?
Maybe it'll be
Oh,
nice.
yeah. Is it like a familiar?
It kind of acts
Can
as
we
a familiar.
communicate with it?
You can talk with it, yeah. They can
Okay.
talk back. You can understand bee.
Okay, great.
So
Yeah.
and it is your friend. You can name it if you have a name for your bee. If you'd like to.
Please do.
decide.
He's gotta. You have to name the bee.
Eric the bee.
Eric
Not
the
the half a
bee.
bee, but the bee himself. I like that. All right. And do you have
Eric
a name
the
and
bee.
race of choice for your character?
I look this illustration here.
Was he ever on Harmon Quest? I feel like
Later, I
Steve
still-
Colbert was on Harmon Quest.
The illustration here, I look at least half elvish.
It could be half.
He does look
I'll be-
elvish.
I'll be half elvish.
I like the look, man. It looks like Steve as an elf.
Okay. Oh, my name. My name.
Please make it a good one.
Character race. Half elf. Character name.
Choose wisely.
Yes, I know.
Is that it? Just half elf? What's the other half? What's the name of his other leg? What's he doing?
Capo.
Capo it is.
Capo.
Proper bard name.
Wouldn't you think he would have thought about this long and hard? If you invited me on a
as bard,
show,
you have a few things. You
I
your
would
longsword
have a
move.
name
If
picked
you
out
wanna
days
have to roll
ago.
an attack roll.
Okay.
You just roll, add 4.
Gotcha.
If it hits, then you roll your damage. The D8
All right.
plus 2.
All right, I
Same with
remember that
crossbow,
now.
if you need to
People
shoot
told me in the
further
comments,
away.
you get rolls
You
to
have
see
some
what
abilities.
you do, and then you
Bardic
roll to see the
inspiration.
damage done.
Once on your turn, you can
But if you roll
inspire
low,
an
you don't
ally,
even get to
like
roll
Eric.
the second
Yep.
time because you
By
don't
granting
hit.
them a
Learn.
a 1d6 to add to a roll. You can use this 4 times. Cutting words. When an enemy rolls
I'm
an
assuming
attack, you use
1d6 is a
bardic
one
inspiration to insult them.
die,
Take a 1d6
six-sided?
subtracted from their roll.
Yep, so if an enemy's
Wow.
going to attack you, you
Wow.
can use one of your bardic inspirations to instead insult them and possibly screw up their attack.
That's
Wow,
pretty
wow.
awesome.
Also called throwing shade.
All right,
very
people
much
said in the
so.
comments of the Vin Diesel one, he gives them like
All right.
So each
buffs
time
to
you wanna
make
use
it
that, you can go ahead and
entertaining,
mark off one of
obviously.
these
Like he
things
said,
there
the
for you to
bard,
keep
they
track of.
skipped a
Oh, I
bunch
dig
of
it.
steps.
And what do we have over here?
You have your bard spells. You don't have to dig too deep in them if you want to. Vicious Mockery is, you can use that spell as many times as you want. Both of these are cantrips. You can use them
Vicious
an infinite number
Mockery.
of times. They're nice, they're not like super powerful, but you got them in the back. So you can hurt somebody by mocking them.
Okay.
He hurts them. He's so insulting.
Giant
He will
self, you can
hurt you with
transform
his
what you look like for a
words.
short time
Sure.
to look like
Oh my
any
god,
other
he's like a
character.
bully.
So
He's
like
like a
invisible,
musician,
Right.
a musical
Wounds,
instrument playing bully.
Heal yourself or your bee friend if he's in dire straits.
Got it.
Thunder Wave, you create like a huge blast of thunder that goes out for a 15-foot cone so you can hit multiple enemies in front of
Oh,
you.
that's awesome. 15 feet. All right, I like it.
do damage.
Because Vin Diesel questioned
damage.
things
And
like,
it
how
pushes
far
them
is this guy? 25 feet away.
Tasha's Hideous
I like
Laughter,
that. We got a
which you can
15-foot
cast on somebody,
wave.
And if they don't resist it, they uncontrollably laugh to the point where they can't attack or move.
That's cool,
And
too.
You can just wail
It's
on
like
them.
a
Okay.
These are your
paralysis.
cantrips. These are your first level spells. You have 4 of them you can cast per day, and you can choose any of these 4. So you can cast Cure Wounds 4 times if you want, or 1 each. Just whenever you cast one of these spells, you mark off one of your first levels.
Got it.
And then here's your second level, Invisibility.
4 a
Invisible
day.
for up to an hour,
Someone
but you
explained this to
become
me too.
invisible if you attack something or
In the
cast a
Vin
spell.
Diesel one, Grog got his hit points
Suggestion, you just need to make
permanently
a single
affected, but then
one-sentence
someone said it
suggestion to a
it
creature
isn't over
that
the
doesn't
course of the next
that
day or
doesn't put it in
something.
serious harm, and if it fails, it takes it. You can be like, "Hey, you, go walk to the top of that mountain." Okay, and the orc just takes off for a while.
I'm going to
Gotcha.
turn up them a
So,
little
what you're
bit
looking
just
for.
Yeah,
to,
very much so.
Got it.
in case.
So that's what you have.
I'm sorry if I'm
Alright,
talking
ask
a
any
lot,
questions?
guys. I have
There were
to
no
for
prompts.
copyright reasons and
There were
stuff.
no
I turned
part
them
of
up a
when
bit.
last time
Oh,
I
yeah.
played, it was just
If I just sit
you
here and don't
talking
say anything,
and us
I'll
listening,
have
and then the
problems
charts.
with
Yeah,
copyright.
that was it.
Yeah.
And then I was
So I apologize.
Okay, got it.
And you know what? Back then, not a lot of people played.
No.
The funny thing is, I knew more
That's
people
why.
back then that played, but I also
It's
was a lot
definitely
younger
helped
and
for
did this kind of
people to
stuff.
be on board
I mean,
to a game.
Sure.
people I know that played back then
alright.
still play, just
So
not
do
as
things.
much.
Alrighty.
And it's like usually
So-
over the internet they like do it, like in different
We
states.
begin in the hot summer months of the menagerie coast of Wildmount. The temperate, kind of jungle coastal home of the beautiful city of Fiolin.
Wildmount
It's a
is
wines,
the right west
known for its
continent.
affordable timeshares and tourist boards, but also the nearby forest, the plum groves, where it gains most of its wonderful fruit for its wines. But you, Capo, you've been collecting errant bits of lore of the history of the plum groves. And there was once a dark history that kind of cast a shadow over this beautiful forest, where once there was a dark mage who went mad named Zothkira, who was trying
Now,
to
are
corrupt
these
the
things
nation
canon in the world of
Crimson Sword
Exandria?
generosity. In his attempts to convert this artifact, he began to draw various tourists.
They
down
get
into a
so
subterranean
much
lair
pleasure,
beneath
as do
this
I.
forest, never to be seen again.
Like everyone just
where
has
he
to
kept
look
his
at Matt
tail
Mercer in
corrupted
awe
means.
of his greatness.
However, he was defeated by a great hero named Shiona, who was wielding the exalting blade of favor. However, upon defeating this mage, this laboratory vanished and was never found again, nor was the hero or the sword that she
I
wielded.
pause and hold, and I don't even remember.
Now,
I'm
this
doing
is just
that.
interesting information for anyone to have, and you being such a book-learned bard, you've been noticing strange disappearances recently, very similar to this very tumultuous time in Fiolin's history. No one else listening to you, you grow frustrated. You gather your belongings, gathering your weapons, and gather your companion friend Eric, your bee, to go ahead and see if you can find out the root of this terrible, rash series of disappearances. So, gathering your things as you leave your home, heading towards the plum groves, you glance
What
up
if
and
after
there,
all this is
out the
done,
corner of your
Steven's
eye,
like, "Could you repeat all that?
Eric lands on his shoulder, and you head your way into the forest. So, is there anything you'd like to prepare or anything you'd like to do upon your journey to the forest?
What supplies do I have?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what do
On your
we
equipment
have?
Right there, you have those.
Backpack, studded leather armor, thieves' tools, torch ×3, bedroll, flint and
Bedroll,
steel, water skin.
Is that like a
50
swimsuit?
feet of rope, and grappling hook.
I mean, that's a
I'm good.
decent amount of stuff.
I'm good.
All right.
All right.
So, as you make your way into the forest,
I mean, could you go back? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter.
and starts just talking to you about stuff in the day.
What if there's something I wanted that I didn't have? Could I go back?
You, understanding B, can hear exactly what he's saying. So, you have a nice conversation.
Can Eric scout for me?
You can,
Can
yeah.
he go out ahead of me?
If you'd like
I
to.
like
yeah.
that.
Bees can be great scouts. They fit in well.
That'd be
with us.
awesome. Yeah, I dig that.
Hard
It's
to
like a
hit,
bird, like a
and they have
raven.
compound eyes, so they can see a lot.
Oh,
at
quite a bit,
time.
actually.
Okay, so we're on the edge of the forest, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, the plum grove.
The plum
I mean, it
grove.
probably was a good choice
the
for
plum-
the
are-
people to
are-
give him
are-
because
are the
bees
fruit
can
on the
hide
tree?
too
Is it-
easily.
Is it the season for
Birds, you'll see. Bees.
Actually, it's off season at the time. There are a few there, but they're a bit ripe and probably not ready for the picking.
Okay, all right, all right. They're a bit ripe, so they're overripe. They're prunes.
Yes,
It's a prune grove.
prune grove.
Okay, so I send Eric in first.
Okay.
Send him in. Can I direct him? Go in 50 yards and come back.
Sure. Go ahead and roll a d20 to go ahead and see how Eric's capability.
20-sided die now,
Five.
right? So
Eric
that's
returns
low.
saying,
Everything's good? All right, I follow him on the path that he just took.
okay.
A
so you guys
5
begin
is a
making your way
D20,
deeper
a
and deeper into the
20-sided die? I
plum
feel like
groves,
5 is
the shaded
low.
canopy of the forest itself, kind of keeping a good portion of the sunlight from reaching you directly. It is beautiful. It's cooler. The temperature drops as you progress forward. The smell of fermenting fruit gets strong on your nose. Eventually, you find a small clearing. You're starting to feel a little hungry. Have a little snack. And Eric feels confident. Nothing's a problem in the area.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I want Matt Mercer to follow me around on my day. I mean, he'd have a much different kind of thing going on. He'd probably like ViewMasters
12,
visits
and
his
your
first
perception
job, and it's like, you motherfucker. It'd be like a lot of
Perception
cursing and stuff.
Is +0.
+0, so a standard 12. Okay.
Standard
So as you're,
12.
stopping for a moment and enjoying your sandwich, and Eric is kind of getting a bit of pollen off to the side, you hear out of the left corner of your peripheral.
I draw my sword.
You draw your sword and glance over just in time to see what looks to be a mass of black fur just leap out of the woods in your
A
direction.
boar.
You need to roll initiative for me, friend.
Still 20.
Still D20, yeah.
See, I want them to say, like, if you don't roll higher than a
Okay.
12,
Do I
you're
have
dead.
Any plus on
Initiative modifiers, right?
Plus 2. Okay, so
15. You go first. You actually beat this creature. You glance around to see what looks to be a large black-furred panther, but you see in the split second.
See, part of me wants to, like, I want them to tell me the numbers, because I feel like they're giving him an edge, so we have greatness.
It doesn't appear to be entirely alive, but you have the draw. What are you doing?
Hack and chop.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack with your longsword.
Again, 20.
D20, yeah.
It's been a while.
It's all good.
Oh
no.
What is it, bad? Please be bad, because I just want to see something bad happen. Yes.
2 plus 4.
I like nothing against Stephen Colbert.
It catches you off guard, and you try and swing wide, but find your body battered to the side. You tumble and drag to the ground right as it pounces on top of you. The panther creature is now right over you. However, Eric gets a turn on your turn as well. So what would you like Eric to do?
Sting him in the eye.
Go for it.
Oh,
So
Jesus, Eric, sting him in the eye.
3. Wait, this is gonna be a brief adventure, friends. So I I'd really love to help Red-Nosed David.
He's gonna. All right, at least bad, but they gave him a high multiplier. I feel like.
Into the eye. However, he does sting the eye, but the eye doesn't seem to be really alive anymore. It's dangling out of the socket.
Oh my God, the panther's undead or something, or just very mutilated.
Pinned on your chest. It's going to attempt to try and bite down towards you. That is going to be a 13 to hit. What's your armor class?
My armor class is 14.
14. Putting up your blade, you just managed to keep it off and throw it to the
See,
side.
he's got high numbers. A 14, he'd likely not get hit, right?
Let's thunder wave this bad boy.
Okay, all right. It goes and runs
Thunder
towards you.
wave.
Leap once more as you pull up your hands and cast thunder.
Oh,
wave.
it's the 15-foot.
This giant wave of force energy blasts out in front of you. So you deal. It says there 2d8 thunder.
Is that
damage.
2 die?
2d8 thunder damage.
Does not make it saving throw.
10, 6 and 4.
Oh, so it is 2 die.
Damage. You watch as it leaps in the
2d4,
air,
so 2 4-sided die? Is that what that is?
As it blasts outward, you actually shake the flesh off of its bones. It scatters into a large spray of dark ichor and bone, and you get this little skull of this panther kind of.
This poor panther. Maybe it was just defending itself. It was missing an eye.
Destroyed.
I haven't heard the word ichor in almost 30 years.
Ichor.
Welcome back.
Okay.
I've never heard that word in my life.
Is there anything?
And I'm the smartest man
I
alive.
searched the remains.
Okay, go ahead, make a roll a d20 and make a perception check for me.
19.
Ooh.
Plus perception.
Almost.
I've got no pluses.
No,
19.
there you go. 19.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So looking through the corpse, you can see that it's been dead for a while.
All right, he's got no He's got like no addition there, so I guess they balanced it a
Seeming
little.
form, there is some dark magic that seems to be animating it from this nearby space. With that check as well, you also look that in the struggle, your thunder wave struck a nearby small rocky hillside cliff and knocked a series of thick vines off the surface, and you can see now revealed
Ooh.
a small entryway, a cavern that dives deeper into the subterranean region.
Now, what if he didn't use the blast? Would it have been revealed in a different way? Like,
All right.
I'm wondering, like, is the path always the same, or did he, by using the blast or the shockwave, send it on another direction?
Okay, you put your.
I feel like either way, he would have somehow revealed it.
Nothing comes, but there's a bit of a faint breeze, like this kind of distant echoing whine from deeper within.
Wine. Boop.
Okay, Eric, let's go. Let's go in. Okay, sword out.
Eric
Sword
the Bee.
out.
Let's do it, Eric.
Alrighty. So, as you open the door, looking inside this chamber, you can see this long, heavy, rocky, winding path that leads lower and lower into the earth.
Is it carved as steps, or is it just?
Right now,
just
it's natural. It's just a
okay.
natural, slight grade that heads further and further down inside. There's
That's a good question. Like, is it
rot,
something built by somebody?
stagnant, hard water that catches your nose. You continue on for about 5 or so minutes, carefully keeping an eye out, sword at the ready, Eric, stinger forward. Eventually,
It's not easy to fly that way.
it is
Not easy to
It's a
fly.
very
that way.
trained
Stinger
being.
forward.
Jabs.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I like that.
The chilled breeze hits you just as you find this pathway open up into another chamber, about 70 feet across. You can see a series of stalagmites hanging from the ceiling, slick with interior moisture.
Tights, mites. Oh, sorry.
There you go, tights. I messed that up.
Yeah.
You don't correct the dungeon master. You just took him out of his flow.
Okay.
So,
Come on, man. Those are stalagmites.
damn right. Well, where the stalagmites would be,
Yes.
you see instead a large, dark pit, lightless before you. You can see
So I'm on the edge of the pit.
You're on the edge of the cliff, and you can see what looks to be 2 stone imps that are wedged into the sides of the wall. A single rope bridge goes across this chasm, where 2 pythons hold it on the opposite end.
Do not get on that.
Yeah.
Do I have any other? What other like? Let's see. What do I got here? I got nothing.
Look around. Use your perception. Look around. Yeah, have Eric
Go
check
fly
shit
to
out.
see how? Can I see? How
Maybe
long
there's like
the
another
bridge is?
path. Look for another
can see the
path.
bridge
Don't go
goes
the
for
bridge.
about
I
6 meters.
agree with him. Don't take the
Because
bridge.
you are a half-elf, you do have the ability to see through infravision, as you would recall.
I forgot about that.
Infravision? Like infrared vision?
Send Eric out to let's see what's on the other side.
Yeah,
Of the bridge.
I mean, I would, yes. Use perception
Heads
or...
off into the darkness and scouts out the opposite side. It seems that across the bridge there is another opening that leads to a slowly spiraling.
We gotta take the bridge still.
Heading lower and lower, but
I don't want to take the
across
bridge.
chamber to get to it.
Yeah, you gotta cross the bridge to get to it. I don't want that. Look around more. There's no,
Crazy
like,
question.
Yes.
Eric as a bee doesn't have any particular
fear.
can't carry a length of rope, can he?
You can certainly try.
I see that wouldn't
I
work
would
for
like
me.
to see if Eric could take one length of my rope and bring it to the other side of the bridge.
Okay. Eric returns. You go ahead and hold the rope. Eric grabs it.
Yeah, thank
It's
God.
a bee.
All
Thank
right.
God. I was
How
gonna
far
say,
is it to the other side?
what?
60 feet.
60 feet. I only got a 50-foot rope. That's not smart. Okay, so here's what I'll do.
Yes.
I assume there are posts.
Run
on
10
either side
feet,
of the bridge.
lasso
There are.
something
Okay,
and swing
I
it.
tie the rope to these posts.
Okay.
Tie another length of the rope around.
In case
my
it breaks.
Okay.
Or make a harness.
I went the other way. I'd lasso the pillar or
Sure,
whatever.
sure, yeah.
I'm a damn happy.
But I mean, you got a lasso. I mean, you'd have to
And
get a
then
good roll.
And I start crossing the bridge.
Okay.
Wait. I go back to where I started.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where I
yeah,
started.
that's not a good plan because then
Where
you're
did
gonna
you
fall
find
the
it?
same way.
See,
You
these
gotta
two
run.
stone Imps. They look roughly hewn. Not a lot of fine craftsmanship went into them, which, as a bard, you were discerning about art craft. You're a little disappointed.
I was saying lasso one of these
But
things.
they're both embedded slightly in the wall and just appear to be stationed.
And can I
Lasso.
get to them, or is the edge of the pit go straight up underneath where the imps are?
It goes underneath of the imps are.
So I
They're-
can't
They're
walk
not
over
within range to you, unfortunately.
All right.
Not within, like, physically. Your crossbow could probably reach them.
Are there any rocks around or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a few rocks you could find around you on the floor.
I whip a rock at one of the stone imps.
Okay, roll a d20 for me. I
All right.
Modifier.
didn't
I'm
quite
somewhat agreeing. I'm
think
saying
that I
lasso
did.
them, but he's trying to hit it to awaken it. Maybe, maybe it's like a petrified
Plus,
enemy.
Dexterity.
Dexterity.
Plus 2.
Great.
16.
16. You chuck the rock. It hits the imp and it kind of crooks to one side. It's now like partially dangling off from its perch where it was sitting.
But it's still there. Use it.
Again.
Roll again.
16.
Plus 2.
18.
18. Whack! You slam it with the rock and
It breaks and
it
falls.
tumbles out of its little nook. And you hear it vanish into the darkness below before.
Water. All right.
Now there's
So
one.
you
There's one imp.
lasso the other imp.
All right, so I'll tie the rope to one of the posts.
Okay.
And I'll start to make my crossing.
Okay. You tie to the post and make your way across the rope bridge. Creaks from side to side.
I wonder if my
Carefully
way
you
would have
make it
worked.
about
Could you get a
halfway
running
there, and
start?
you see this very faint, kind of pinkish purple glow on the right side. You glance over and see the eyes of the imp are flaring up towards your direction.
It's like Never-Ending Story with the Southern Oracle.
Only one imp. Okay.
Oracle.
I go faster,
Southern Oracle?
And I tell Eric,
Article?
keep an eye on that damn imp.
Okay, are you still
Okay.
attached by the rope on your way?
Yeah, I'm going to go all the way as far as I can attached by the rope.
Okay,
Yeah.
you get about 40 feet because you've used some of your 10 feet or 50-foot length to tie yourself
I'll
to the
ex-
post.
I'll
Quality.
accept the judgment.
You stop at that
Yep,
point,
yep.
right as this large burst of arcane energy blasts out of the side of the imp in your direction. You take...
He has
3 points of arcane damage as it hits you in the right shoulder, almost throwing you off the bridge.
What's arcane damage?
Also, I would like you to go ahead and roll a percentile.
I apologize. That
dice
was
for me right there.
Stephen Colbert.
Which one is which?
So that's 55.
55. Okay, great.
Okay, so the blast of arcane energy off your shoulder emits this burst of fire that nearly but does not catch the rope bridge. You see its eyes now glowing a second time, preparing for a second.
Preparing.
What are you doing?
Run.
Cut the rope and run.
Yeah.
Okay, you cut the rope and go running past. Eric's scooting up behind you as fast as he can.
Now you lost
Right
your
as you
rope,
hit the edge of the
though,
rope
for
bridge, it
nothing,
fires another
kinda.
blast in your direction. But with a natural 4, it fails. You just duck and tumble out of the way. It hits the side of the dirt, causing rocks to fly up and spray off the nearby side, but you are across the bridge, and Eric catches up to you, safe and sound on the opposite side.
All right.
So if he just kept throwing rocks at the other imp, would he have not needed any rope or anything? I mean, he kind of didn't need the rope to begin with.
Okay. Is there anything in the present form of D&D I can use to heal myself?
He has a spell. Yeah, he has a spell. I knew that. Come on, Steven. He had something of a cure spell.
I'll wait.
You'll wait?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Because chances are, on average...
I specifically remember he had some kind of spell that did some curing.
Okay.
All right, so now crossing and heading down into the next dark, rocky cavern.
I cannot begin to tell you where this is taking me, these feelings right now.
I just want to talk because these are an hour long and I don't want to do a straight hour video on YouTube. That gets like monotonous where people eventually just give up. So I'm going to do these in 2 parts. That way we could talk about it. I could tell you what I'm thinking, we could discuss, and then I could jump into the second half and I'll break it up into 2 videos. They're already going to be close to 40 minutes each. So an hour and 20 minutes, an hour to 30-minute video on YouTube. I know their campaigns are 4 hours long, so it's no big deal. Dungeons and Dragons people are probably used to this kind of thing, but I want to make them like watchable in one sitting that's tolerable. And I kind of want to talk a little bit before I forget everything because a lot's going on. My big thing was, I said this during the Vin Diesel one too, that I feel like for the sake of entertainment and not having the guest get the crap beaten out of him and have to really try and do all this stuff, I feel like they give them better buffs. They give him like better additions to their numbers. Like he's able to add high numbers to his rolls. And it seems like very rarely do they get themselves in predicaments where bad things happen. It just so happened in that circumstance though, right after I said it, he got 2 bad rolls, but he did get to add 3 or 4 to the rolls, which did help a bit. But then there were some circumstances, I think it was perception or something like that, where he had 0 points added, but he got high rolls. I mean, I'm assuming they're keeping it somewhat fair, and in all honesty, people probably want to see bad things happen. I mean, it's not real life, it's a game, so obviously bad things happening would be funny. Like, say he rolled bad and he didn't run across the bridge, the imp blasts the bridge and he falls down, he probably would have just landed in the water. We've already established that there was water below. So my guess is, had he got a bad roll, he would have fell into the water and probably went down river and maybe ended up somewhere relatively the same as he would have had he made it across. Like, I'm trying to think, like, is there multiple avenues he has planned for Stephen Colbert? Maybe in the actual game, there are 100 different paths you could take and he plans around that. But I feel like with a guest star on a one and done one shot like this, I feel like he'd have some sort of definite path. Say you didn't make it across the bridge, you'd end up going downstream and ending up where the path would have led you. Say he made it across and now he goes down a tunnel or something. Maybe it goes back down and it leads to where the water was. It already said in the beginning that it was grading downwards. There was no established stairs or anything like that. So we're already grading downwards. So maybe falling in the river would have just saved us a bunch of time. I don't know. But like I said, I feel like Matt Mercer in this circumstance specifically has a set path where no matter what really happens, good or bad, you're going to kind of end up in the same predicament. Now, I have questions, not specifically related to this, but a dungeon master is obviously neutral. you obviously can't have favorites because that wouldn't be fair. For instance, say you kept rolling ones. Say you had horrible luck and you're starting the game out and you just keep rolling ones. At some point, are you dead? Because then you'd be out of the campaign. For instance, the Vox Machina campaign, 115 plus episodes, something like that, 400 to 500 hours of content. Say Sam Riegel had a really bad day with Scanlan one day and he just kept rolling hard ones. Is it possible he could die? Or if that happens at the end of the day, do they get resurrected? I like my thing is like, what happens if you just had a really bad string of luck one day? Do you just get like sidelined as a character for like hours and hours and hours of content? Because otherwise, I mean, I don't want the characters to die, but I feel like there's got to be some sort of risk of death, like in a video game. Like in a video game, you die, you obviously come back to life, and you could redo your thing. But how do they do it in this? Like, do you die? Can you die? And if you do they have to bring you back to like a priest and have you resurrected? I'm assuming things like that happen. I'm assuming characters die and have to get resurrected. Obviously, you guys can't tell me in the sense of Vox Machina because it might spoil something in the show. But I don't think I've ever been around in cases when I've watched friends play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever been in a instance where I've seen someone actually die, like a main person or a character of a person die in the game. It's like they always like, you know, you can get your arm chopped off or you lose your weapon or you're paralyzed or you're poisoned or you're this or that. I don't know how it works when they die. And I feel like that would be a factor. Like, I don't know. Stephen Colbert said it himself. He hasn't done this since college. The year after college, the dude's got to be like in his 50s, 60s at least. So he even said 30 years since I've heard these words. He even said at the end there, the last thing he said before I cut it and I went to this was he's like, you have no idea what this is making me feel like. I feel like I'm a kid again. You could even see in their faces. Vin Diesel did the same thing. Stephen Colbert. I do the same thing. Even Grog, Travis Wellingham, I think his name is. He's married to Laura Bailey. Everybody looks at Matt Mercer with awe. It's almost like you were brought back to childhood, like he said. You're like a little kid, like watching him. The way you do this, it's like a storyteller at his best, and it's amazing. I'm going to jump into the second half. You guys want to be way ahead on all the content on the channel, seasons ahead on all the shows, and hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link's in front of me. If not, comments down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.